actually I've done like 80 podcasts at this point, but I've never done a video podcast. So we'll see how that goes. So I'll see if the video or the editing is easier or harder. I don't know. We'll find out. But awesome. So this is our first week of WeStrive Wednesdays, and I would love for you to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me on your program. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm Angela Davies. The name of my company is Fitness Projects, and our mantra is any project in fitness.
Boom.
And any project, right? Yeah. And I actually have been doing projects on one level or another since mid 90s. So that already do the calculations on my age. I'll never tell.
We're good. Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
Yeah. But ironically, the very first project I did in fitness was with my current business partner. So back in the early 90s, we did this amazing event together. It was called City Sports Body Beat. And at the time, City Sports was the biggest regional fitness publication, and it covered sports and fitness. And they commissioned us to do an event in the Los Angeles area, and it was called City Sports Body Beat. And so Kathy Stevens and I teamed up on that event, and we did really well. And then we kind of both went our separate ways, but we kept joining up along the way. And we would do these short-term and long-term projects together. She's based in Los Angeles. I'm based in San Diego. And it's just been awesome to work on projects with her. And mostly the projects I work on with Kathy Stevens are event-based projects. Although when she was the head of Reebok University years ago, she brought me on as a master trainer of the good old slide Reebok. I think you're too young probably to know what that is.
I vaguely know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Kathy has a master's in kinesiology, so she's always the science behind new programs and just really, truly an innovator. So yeah, so my company, Fitness Projects, is any project in fitness. And we run the gamut, myself, and I have a team of professionals that work with me on the projects. But we run the gamut from events to consulting and content, a lot of content in there with my degree being in communications. I always feel comfortable writing content. I have a lot of fun with it. And I love new projects. So I do a lot of new projects. I'll help people that have a product or education or a service that they're trying to bring to the forefront in the fitness industry. And then I just get them organized and help them see what the pitfalls are and get them organized. And sometimes I'll stay involved for a long term. And then sometimes I'll just be having a scope of work that lasts a very limited time, like 90 days or 6 months. And often it seems like over the years, I've actually not taken the project, but referred them to another professional who ends up taking the project. So that's really the history.
Yeah. You just know all these people. You're like, yeah, this guy would be better for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really what it is. I try to stay in my lane. I know what I'm good at, and so I stick to the things that I'm good at. I stick to projects I think are going to have success. And if I don't think I'm personally going to be good at it, then I'll route it off to someone else I think would be a good match. And also, if I don't see the project as being a success, then I definitely
exactly.
Well, you have to really believe in the projects that you're supporting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I love doing my research and really trying to understand the business model. But if we get to a point where I'm understanding the business model, but I don't feel like it's a match with what I think is going to be successful, then I'll often just say, hey, I don't think this is the right project for me, but here are my key recommendations.
Yeah, absolutely. It's being respectful about it. Yeah. And I want to say, I love your tag. I feel like people always have a hard time like describing what they do. And I think yours is so, even with WeStrive, we're like, we do this, this, and this, and this. And it's like trying to figure out like, how do we get that into 4 or 5 words? And I think what you guys, we do projects, we kill it. So I think that's really cool. And I think I love staying in your lane too, is I feel like, especially like in personal training, there's so many trainers that they're like, oh yeah, now I'm doing this crazy vertical thing. And then now I know now I'm like adjusting spines. And it's like, no, you don't know how to do any of that stuff. Like you need to send them to a chiropractor or to a physical therapist and stay in your lane. So I think that's awesome that you guys do that for sure. Um,
Yeah, that's my mantra. And something that's unique about me is that I'm a group exercise instructor.
mhm.
And at the core of every project I do, beyond my education and my years of experience and the skill set that I bring to the project, the fact is I'm boots on the ground.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm in the gyms.
Yeah, you're actually like involved. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'll be hearing somebody's business idea and I'll say, it doesn't work that way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't actually work that way. And then they'll say, yeah, it totally works that way. No, I mean, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I teach a spinning class on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I do a set class on Saturdays. On Tuesday, Thursdays, I do a core and more. No, it doesn't
That
work
didn't work
that
out.
way. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. That's kind of not to like say bring up the app again, but like literally when I was first building the app, I would see some of our competitors and I would just be like, "Did you even use this in the gym? Like this, I could never. This doesn't work that way. Like you would never do that. You would never stop what you're doing, do this, do that. It's like no, you're just gonna be working out. So you need to have it be smooth. So I totally agree. I mean, stay in your lane, and I mean, so there's so many things that apply not only into the fitness business world, but also just to personal training in general and how like synced up it is. And so you're so involved in, I mean, the entire fitness world in general, which is why I wanted to have you on here at first. And I feel like it's very behind the scenes. Like when I went to the Fitness Expo, had I not randomly talked to you on LinkedIn, I would have never known that you were like just running the entire event basically. I mean, you've got like booths over here, boots on the ground. So can you kind of like touch on what your involvement is at like we'll start with LA Fitness Expo. There's obviously more that you do, but can you kind of talk
Yeah.
about your role at the LA Fitness Expo?
Yeah, so the Fit Expo is a global company and they have their roots in entertainment. Their parent company is Creation Entertainment,
Okay,
and those guys were the original Comic Con, let's say. So
gotcha.
they started with people who were Star Trek fans.
Oh, they were literally. I thought you meant like Comic Con for fitness. They were the literally.
No,
Gotcha.
they were Creation Entertainment still runs the Trekkie conventions.
Gotcha. Okay.
And a couple of the key players in Creation Entertainment were passionate about fitness. So, like 17 years ago, they put together, I think it's 17, it's coming up on 20, but
Yeah.
they put together their first ever Fit Expo in Pasadena, California, and then it ended up moving to Los Angeles. They onboarded a bunch of amazing professionals, including Mark Mazurek, who's the vice president of sales, and he came from Gold's Gym Enterprises and Shape Magazine's Shape Camp.
Okay.
So Mark really was the person that brought in my coming and going business partner, Kathy Stevens,
Mhm.
along with another great friend in the fitness industry, Kitty Callahan, who ran all the Reebok University events, which anybody who's been in fitness, from the early 90s and until 2005, 2006, Reebok was the key player in education for fitness professionals. And at some point, they decided to shuffle off their fitness department and put their money in sports athletes. But at one point, they were the key players, as I mentioned. And
Yeah.
so, but Mark Mazurk went to Kathy and Kitty and asked them if they would bring fitness education into the Fit Expo, and also if they would take over the general group training area of the show. And because I had worked with both of them, and after they got a couple years under their belt at the Fit Expo, and my kids got a little bit older because I'm a mom and I have 4 kids,
You're good.
and I
Well,
had a lot of yeah, and I had a lot of other projects I was working on. I said, okay, I'll make time for the Fit Expo. And from the moment I started making time for the Fit Expo, it has just been such an amazing ride. I
yeah.
mean, starting with it's an amazing organization of people that run the Fit Expo, and then going to what your experience was at the Fit Expo, it's just such a large and amazing event, and it's a fan fest, so um, of course I need to be paid for the projects I work on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah, I do need to be paid, but honestly it's just I think the best way to say it is one weekend I got back from the Fit Expo and my youngest son said, "Hey mom, I don't know how you have so much energy when you get back from these shows. Don't you work like 30 hours a day or something?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah." And but you know what? I have so much fun with it.
Mm.
It is work. It is a business, but it's like a hobby too, because when you're at the Fit Expo, it's such an electric experience. And
Yeah.
even as a person planning the event, you get caught up in how inspirational and motivating it is to be there.
Mhm.
And I mentioned that the Fit Expo is Southern California based. Well, we've gone to as many as 8 cities, and our main show, our flagship show, is our Los Angeles event. And with that Los Angeles event, it really is uh, different each time you go to the LA event, or different every event you go to.
Yeah.
So, for example, with the pandemic, we were not able to go to our San Jose location, and that's coming up. It would have been June 26th and 27th, and I'm just so sad because
Exactly.
I'm missing my people.
Yeah.
You know, San Jose is such a different group of fitness fans,
Mhm.
and they're just I just to think of a year going by that I'm not going to get to interact with the group makes me sad. But from a nuts and bolts perspective, once I joined the Fit Expo, the key area that I worked on was the strategic partners and special guests for one area of the show. And that area you visited me at when you met me at the Fit Expo is the group training zone area.
Mm.
And so we have a team of partners that follow us from show to show. And my job is just to make sure that when they buy into the partnership, it's a sponsorship of sorts, that they get everything that we said they were going to get. And we call it a partnership versus a sponsorship because those partners actually help the Fit Expo as well.
Mhm.
And it's sort of a team, together everyone achieves more acronym.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, where those partners make the show different too. So every city we go to, depending on the partners that we have with us on tour and depending on the special guests that are there as well, it's just a completely different show. So that was a long version, but the short version is I onboard all of the partners. I work with my business partner who's the program director. She handles the education side. I make sure that we integrate the education into the messaging, and then the two of us work together on the Fitness Career Center, which is a whole different part of the show where we're able to bring resources and tools to fitness professionals that are currently fitness professionals, aspiring fitness professionals, or what we like to call prosumers, which would be those fitness fanatics that didn't even know they wanted to work in fitness.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when you show up to an event like that, you probably get inspired and wanna get involved. It's like the perfect opportunity. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I do for the Fit Expo. And then along the way, I've picked up other projects. There again, anything in fitness. The last few years, I've been helping them with their newsletter content, and I have the pleasure of working with the team of ambassadors,
Mhm.
which the Fit Expo onboards ambassadors in every city where we have an event. And then I just give them the tools and the techniques and the technology. I'm
Mhm.
a big fan of technology, to go out and visit health clubs and fitness related businesses. And they strategically place a counter card that promotes the upcoming date. And then they also talk with the business owner about whether the Fit Expo can help them with their brand message. They have an opportunity to sell booths if that's what that's what the business owner's interested in. So I get involved on that level as well.
Yeah, and to everyone watching, I mean, so once WeStrive puts some more funding together, we're definitely gonna be partnered up with the expo, and it's an incredible opportunity. I mean, when I first saw it, I thought the rate you were charging was like per show, which was still reasonable. And then you're
Hmm.
like, no, that's for all the shows. And I was blown away because, like you said, it's more of a partnership than a sponsorship. You're not just getting a banner, just like we strive, and you're done. It's like you're actually a part of the show, and you get involved, and you have opportunities to do things like sponsor the career booth and all that. So I think it's a really cool concept. I mean, like I said, we've been involved in talk with a lot of different sponsorship opportunities, and I was just mind blown that that was like what it was. So yeah, I mean that's
But
incredible.
think about it. I mean, if you think about it, so we align ourselves with up and coming companies,
Mhm.
existing companies, and brands that are continually making an impact. And so for us, we learn from new brands like WeStrive. If you're marketing a product, a service to trainers that's going to help them uh, gamify or otherwise monetize what they may be doing for free,
Mhm.
then we as true fitness professionals that Kathy and I are, we want to get that in front of everyone that's at the show.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
Kathy said something to me this morning. We were talking about the world events and all this stuff. She said, you know, I think my perfect world is to work for free.
Yeah,
And I said, that's not my perfect
that's what
world,
it's
but
for you. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
But she said, you know, the thing I love about my job the most is just the high level making an impact.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
she loves when she feels like she presents a brand and then someone goes out and learns how to teach that brand. Or we put together education and someone gets that education and we run into them later and learn that they're now a master trainer for that organization.
Exactly.
Or when you see the small brands who get an opportunity to showcase their brand and then they nail it and then they're just like superstars overnight, literally. So that's her mantra.
No,
Work for free.
I totally agree. I mean, I think like obviously we're here to make money, but I think like the long-term impact you can have on people is just so incredible. I mean, obviously, you know, we strive just getting going, but I mean, even when we onboard a trainer and they're like, okay, I don't have to text PDFs to my clients anymore and I can run my business from my phone, and they're like, this saves me time, it makes me happy, and it makes me happy to, like, even if we only made one trainer like happier, I would have a really good day. So I totally, definitely not working for free, but I totally agree with what you're saying.
Well, here's another mantra. I'm a mantra person.
Okay.
In all reality, my litmus test is this. I don't work for money. I work for the satisfaction of a job well done, and then I get paid. You know, it really is all about the satisfaction. And there are projects that I've worked on in the past where I'm so close to a satisfaction of a job well done, not even being within sight.
Mhm.
You know, like the
Yeah,
project gets off track, and then I'll go to the client and say, you know, satisfaction of a job well done, it's not even in the cards at this point. So we got to
exactly.
figure
Pass
out
it off. Pass it off.
no, we have to figure out how to really circle back to your business model, your goals, and really make you shine, because I don't want to do anything just to collect a paycheck. I really want to feel like I'm making a positive impact. And that mantra has really served myself well. And I used it to remind the other professionals that are on board with me in order to complete the project. And it really is a good one to keep in mind.
Absolutely. And I mean, so we're kind of mostly talking about just fitness in general, but I mean, like your career is just like boom, 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 boom. But let's just touch on one thing here. Like, so for a couple of years, you were the VP of Gold's Gym for like 7 different gyms across the board in SoCal.
Yeah, yeah. So, I was a vice president level. You know, every organization has different titles.
Mhm.
My actual title was assistant general manager, program director, and outreach. And the name of the company was Magic Muscle Corporation. Yeah.
Oh,
And it was a really fun project that I took on as an employee, actually. And I was working in special events, and I was teaching at a Gold's Gym in San Diego. And the president of the company was standing outside a class when I was just about to teach.
mhm.
And he saw me looking at the board that had the listing of all the classes. And he said, oh, do you, he forgot how his question went, but that somehow he said, do you think I should become a member here? And I said, well, I'd love for you to take my class, but this is really, honestly, a horrible organization. They don't treat their members right. And the classes are good if you just stick to the classes and blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And he said, and he said, wow, that's good to know because this is my company.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my
How
God.
embarrassing. And how young was I to be a horrible employee that would say that out loud?
Wow. I mean,
But
even if you thought that way, you still probably shouldn't
you
be.
should know that is what there are things you learn
Yeah.
in your professional
Yeah.
development. And that is uh, rule number one.
Yeah.
So unacceptable. However, it worked out in that situation because he said, wow, if you think all that, you know, how could we fix it? And I said, wow, that would take an afternoon and a proposal, but okay.
Yeah.
And he said, no, really, I want to come meet with you. And it was a good ride. I worked for that organization for 7 years, and he really, as a leader, he was terrible. That's why his organization was terrible at the
Wait,
time.
wait, was this
He was
sports
horrible.
or what was this?
This same gentleman, yeah.
Yeah, I got
But the thing is, it afforded me an opportunity to retool an organization from the inside out, because
you.
he hired me once he heard my ideas. And at the time, he owned 2 Gold's Gyms, and one facility was called a Women's Fitness World.
Mm.
And he allowed me to help him build his Women's Fitness World brand. And then because of Kathy Stevens, there she is popping up again. She was the program manager for Gold's Gym Venice Beach.
Oh, that's
Imagine
right. Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Kathy and I teamed up through that opportunity on education for Gold's Gym Enterprises worldwide.
Mhm.
And so we were able to do the education piece of it at the conventions. I was able to work in that organization and again, really retool the entire organization from the inside out, I didn't have any money in the game. It was his company and he would have profited or lost by virtue of my systems that I put into place. But I had a great experience helping him grow his organization, being a part of a franchise organization, and then later they changed it to a licensed organization, getting to do cool things within the Gold's Gym Enterprises organization back in the day. And
Mhm.
Kathy Stevens and I actually produced a video series for Gold's Gym Enterprises, with the biggest producer of videos, they were called in the day, Peter Pan Industries, PPI. And
Okay.
so we got to work with a gentleman, if you ever hear his name, it's Cal Pozo.
Calpoza.
And
Pull it
if
up.
you look at any 80s, 90s, 2000, and even as late as probably 2015 fitness productions, Cal Pozo probably has his name on it.
Okay.
And that was just a fantastic opportunity. So it was a good opportunity, but that was an employee role. And the biggest piece of that project as an employee was just really looking at how to take systems within large organizations and duplicate them and take a look at the client or member model
Mhm.
and make sure that the members that the organization is exceeding membership uh, expectations.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of leadership training and programming and duplication and marketing of branding of those organizations. So for me, it was a really great experience, and I did stay there for 7 years. So um, it was a good one. I enjoyed it.
That is awesome. And yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it too. I was like, 2 Gold's Gyms nowadays, like there's just so many of them. But back then, that's like there was not that many Gold's Gyms. I feel like.
There was
Oh, gotcha.
435 Gold's Gyms
Just
when
kidding.
I
We'll cut
was a
that
part
out.
of the organization. Yeah.
Not even
And
close.
yeah, there was so many. And they're one of the originals,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
what
Yeah.
they, have the roots in bodybuilding,
Mhm.
as did the Fit Expo. And for them, onboarding and reaching a different demographic, mostly women, people in group exercise, and then for Gold's Gym Enterprises back in those days, they were looking at emerging fitness trends. And I thought they were an organization that was very open-minded on what were the emerging fitness trends. So
Yeah.
in those days, Pilates and yoga weren't mainstream, and they were one of the first organizations to bring Pilates and yoga in at the corporate level and really encourage the licensees and franchisees to also embrace that. And also, they had a very high level of understanding that the programs had to be science-based,
Mhm.
and that the people conducting the workouts, whether they were small group or one-on-one, needed to have a high level of training.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience to be involved with an organization like that.
That's good to know. I mean, yeah, I was maybe 20 years off on my timeline, so I'll scratch that off on the Gold's Gym thing. But so where are you seeing with your crystal ball the fitness industry moving? I mean, do you really see it moving into like AR and VR technology, or like do you see it all going at home, or like what are you thinking?
Well, it's interesting. I'm not always right, but I have a good sense.
Okay.
We
Everyone,
have
your wallet's
we
ready to invest in this industry.
Yeah, I have three things that I personally see trending that we really want to put a watch on.
Okay.
And the first one is precedes the pandemic and craziness of the world. But the first one is we have a whole generation of exercisers who grew up and having kids that have gone through public education. I sort of understand why, but it may even be your generation too. But this group grew up not having PE classes that taught coordination. And they also don't, yeah, coordination's a real challenge for this emerging, the millennials, and they don't have a love of group activities. I'm not sure why. So if you walk into most American, US, I think it's a little different in other countries, and I've done a lot of work globally, so I can tell you US, it's different. So maybe
Yeah.
they're, talking about PE classes in the United States now, but so if you walk into most US health clubs in January 2020, you don't see a lot of millennials in the Group X classes except for yoga.
Hmm. That's a fair point. Yeah.
You don't see it. And
Kind of Zumba-ish, but I agree. Yeah, it's mostly all
I'm
the other ones
not.
are all. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so no matter which club I'm at, even my corporate fitness account, I would see these millennials with their phone or they have a notebook.
Hmm.
And they know what exercises they want to do. They have their own playlist and they want to do it in a specific order and get it done. And it's a chore that they do versus an experience that the other generations have desired.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how we're going to affect change with that group when it comes to a group training
Hmm.
perspective. Um, they don't understand the community that can be built
Yeah.
with group exercise. They are interested in boot camps, especially if it's challenge based and they're pushing themselves.
Hmm.
So I think that group exercise, that boot camp and challenge based will do well.
Like
But
personal accolades and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
yeah, well, like at the Fit Expo, we have a group, the Ultimate Athlete Boot Camp.
Mm.
And what's so ingenious about that, other than it's led by a former professional athlete, and all the coaches are at least Division I athletes, but they set it up like a combine,
Mm.
and so everyone has had some kind of sports experience, even if it was t-ball in
Yeah.
first grade. So when you get the opportunity to have fun in a sports-like environment and sort of push yourself and compete with yourself
Hmm.
by running the tires, running the ladder, running through the obstacle course, I think that that has its appeal to a group,
100%.
particularly
Yeah.
millennials. Yeah. But so in terms of trends, that's the first thing I'm concerned about. And I'm only concerned because I love group exercise.
Yeah.
And for me, even with the stay-at-home orders, I have a dilapidated 2002 spinning bike in my backyard, and I'm creating playlists like I'm teaching the class, but there's no one there.
It's like yelling at the wall. Yeah.
And because the joy I find in my group classes is creating the playlist, putting together a science-based workout I know they're going to enjoy, and then just the interaction with the people before and after class. I
Yeah.
love my peeps. So the second trend, though, that I see, definitely I'm concerned about group exercise from that perspective. I'm thankful for all the branded programs that continue to keep people excited, but I
Yeah.
really want to reach the up and coming group. But the second thing that I see is, the studios that pop up that undercut the big boxes,
Hmm.
you know, it's interesting. I read something on URSA, the Health and Fitness Association, trying to get our leaders to separate gyms from studios
Hmm.
for the reopening, which makes
Define
perfect sense.
leaders like government officials or like gym.
Government
Higher up.
officials.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So when they're talking about reopening, why are you putting a studio in the same category as a big box gym?
Yeah.
Because the big box gym is going to have a heavier line to toe to get open and stay open
Hmm.
than a studio, which, if you're a studio that offers cycling, and you've got 20 bikes, now you can have 10 people in class for the
Yeah,
foreseeable
exactly.
future. You just every other bike, you wipe it down, you're done.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a difference in trends in these studios. Even like the F45s are great facilities, but the studios are so expensive because they're so specific. I worry that they price general exercisers out of the market.
Mm.
And at the same time, they're sort of tearing down the programming at the big box stores. So that's something that I saw and I continue to see and concerns me. I'll be interested to see how it all shakes out
Yeah.
and which of the players, are able to stay in, especially with everything that's happened. And then the third thing is just technology. So your original question was, and I went around the block a few times, sorry.
Good. No, that's the whole point. Yeah.
But your original question was, what about technology? Will people just be working out? And I think where we're at now is that we have onboarded most of American exercisers and probably global exercisers, where previously they would never have tolerated a Zoom workout as being an option.
Yeah.
And now maybe the wheelhouse has opened,
Mhm.
and now they will consider it to be an option. And almost like if we can't get to the gym and we say, oh, I can't get to the gym, I guess I won't exercise today.
Yeah.
um,
Totally understand
Now
that part.
they won't be able to hide because they're like, oh well, look, the gym offers on demand, or the
Mm.
that favorite instructor you can't get to because you're traveling, she actually has a Zoom class at 5 o'clock. So
Exactly.
now it's
Yeah.
almost like technology is chasing everybody down.
No, and I think it's going to be, I mean, there's like 30 branches you can talk about with that. I mean, I think one, it's going to be it's curious for me to see how many people just keep doing at home and don't go back to the gym altogether. I think people like myself definitely miss the gym environment and the experience and everything. So I'm definitely going back. But there are going to be those days where I look at my dumbbells and my bands in my room and I go, why would I go to the gym if I'm going to do a circuit at the gym anyways, when I could just do it in my room and save the driving time and all that. So, I mean, the other point obviously being like, with the Zoom, it's the Zoom. I sound like I've been in the industry forever. With Zoom, uh, basically, it's I'm curious to see, because obviously right now we're in a situation where the trainers and their clients are at home, so Zoom is convenient. But obviously very soon trainers aren't going to be at home. So obviously we have an app like WeStrive where you can build the programs ahead of time and all that stuff. But I'm curious to see if they pivot both schedules to do Zoom, or if they go back to meeting in person, or what. Because another thing is, a lot of these trainers have acquired all of these clients remotely through Zoom that they can't train in person once COVID's over. So then I'm wondering what's going to happen with those clients, because now those clients are going to have any way to train anymore. So they're going to have to find a new trainer basically, or use like WeStrive or something like that. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see what happens. There's a whole lot of balls in the air, whatever that expression is. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be just a hybrid. And
Mhm.
the thing is, did you say you're a personal trainer?
No, so I took the ACE in high school and I missed it by like a question, and I knew I was going into business, and so I just like I didn't end up. What happened was I finished studying the ACE, and then I was like, well, I have 2 months for my test, so I started studying for NASM. And when my actual results on the ACE test were like, there's 4 categories, and I aced, no pun intended, all of them. And then the percentage based one, like hypertrophy is 82, whatever, blah blah percent. I just got like a 40% on, because I was using all my NASM numbers instead of and they're all like a little different. And
Right.
so, yeah, I just failed it miserably because of that. And so I never, after that, got my accounting degree and I never actually took it. But I'm pretty well versed in the training world, but I'm not actually a personal trainer. So,
Yeah, well, it certainly adds dimension, and clearly you've chosen to use your business skills in fitness, so it did inspire you. Um, I'm trying to think why I was asking you about the training piece.
if I'm
What?
certified, and then I don't know what you were
uh,
saying.
Go back one step.
Zoom, training. I don't, there's another part in there. I can't remember what you
Hmm.
said. We'll
Well,
figure
it
it
was
out.
good to get caught up on your skills there, but
No, yeah, now everyone knows. Yeah.
yeah, now they know. Was it? Yeah. Well, it actually is a good piece for you to have experienced that because I was the master trainer for the Aquatic Exercise Association, also for 7 years at a later point.
Of course you were.
And of course I was.
Yeah.
But you know what? That was such a great experience for me. And I know why I asked you that question about certification because my degree is in communications. And so I've never considered myself very strong in science. But when I had to actually be a facilitator and present science-based education, it ended up really teaching me to internalize many of the exercises that I had been doing, and I never understood why. So
Yeah.
that's where certifications, even if you weren't successful and didn't move on to becoming a personal trainer, you have a greater understanding of how the human body works and why.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the reason I asked you if you had a certification was because I was going back to the earlier piece, which is where the fitness industry is going to land. And
Yeah.
so I was going to use a fitness certification term.
Okay.
And it is this, it's from Newton, right?
Okay.
Sir Isaac Newton. And he had all of his laws of relativity, Newton's laws.
Hmm.
And one of the Newton's laws is that for every action, there is an equal or greater reaction.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to water exercise, it has one meaning. When it comes to strength training, it has another. But when it comes to this fitness industry in the middle of a global pandemic and
Hmm.
a shutdown that no one ever could have anticipated in January, if you had said we'd be where we are, no one would,
I
it's
thought it was going to
inconceivable.
last a week for sure. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah.
inconceivable. However, for every action, there is an equal or greater reaction, and the equal or greater reaction of this terrible circumstance in which we find ourselves is likely going to be new innovations. It's
Yeah,
going to
absolutely.
be a new way forward, and hopefully for companies like yours that have tools for trainers, they're having to lean on technology when they never would have.
Exactly.
And think about this. Overnight you had a whole industry of fitness professionals that said, whoa, I got to figure out what my login is for my email, let
Exactly.
alone
Yeah. But
how to do a Zoom chat.
trust me, we had all of our original trainers from our old app like, whoa, how do I get back on here? Like, yeah, like instantly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that has been a positive that's come out of it is people who otherwise never were interested in change. Thanks, no thanks. I'm doing great. And they were
Yeah.
doing great.
Exactly. Yeah.
They
Exactly.
had to change.
Yeah.
They had to change. And guess what? When they did change, it doesn't mean that they don't appreciate the old way of doing things, but in changing, they realize, wait, I can do this. And
Mhm.
they also realize, wait, I can do more clients at
Exactly.
the same time. Wait, my business model can morph a little. And so we may emerge. And wouldn't this be great if we could emerge with personal trainers in particular, but maybe even group exercise instructors as well,
Mhm.
who have become more adept at applying technology.
Mhm.
And with all of the free continuing education that's been offered, I mean, it's been amazing what the industry has offered,
Yeah.
that maybe they're a little higher level in terms of their understanding of how the human body works and why, and maybe your Joe Schmo personal trainer has picked up an app like WeStrive. They've also taken a Coursera course on management that they never would have taken before. And they figured out how to work in a Excel spreadsheet that they never wanted to know.
Exactly. Yep.
So I think there could be some good things.
Yeah, I think that you're exactly right. I mean, like we both mentioned, I mean, we had trainers just coming out of the woodwork that, or even the trainers, again, you don't judge them because they're doing well on their own. And so they're like, I'm not going to do online. And you're like, okay, that's fine. Like, it's your thing. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, I have to do online. And so, yeah, obviously a huge pivot in the industry for sure. But I think it'll be good in the long run for sure. I'm just curious to see how Zoom, the gyms, and everything plays out, and hopefully everyone's on a better foot when it's all over. So, um, but
Well, you know what? You know
a
what's fascinating about the United States of America?
lot of things. Yeah.
There's a lot that's
Yeah.
fascinating. I come from an international family myself. And actually, I was born in Italy. My husband's British. and my family is just full of international. We're just a crazy mix. But I love America. I've traveled so much. And what I love about America is that from our origins, we take hardship and risk for the privilege of freedom and prosperity. It's just what we do. And it doesn't matter where you came from, you can go anywhere you want to go. And so I know that there's so much adversity with the current circumstances. And just when it seems like it's out of reach, there might be a small business association loan that comes somebody's way due to the pandemic that they never would have gotten the loan. And maybe they do that addition on the back of their studio
Yeah.
that allows them to take more customers. I'm not sure what that little nugget's going to be, but I just know for sure that as a country, we're not afraid that we don't let fear get in our way of prosperity. We
Absolutely.
literally just move forward. So I know it's going to be a tough road, but I feel like we can do it.
I think so too. I think there's going to be, obviously there's a lot of negatives to the situation, but I think there's going to be a lot of companies that come out stronger, and maybe hopefully we'll have a cleaner gym. Shout out Gold's Gym Venice. Hope you guys clean up. It's pretty gross in there. but
Well,
yeah.
you know what? I'm glad you said that, because you know what's going to happen, and I think it's a fabulous thing. No, I've definitely seen it. But do you think that individuals are going to take better charge of their own hygiene in a gym environment?
I think
So
so, yeah.
maybe it's going to be like before you would go into a gym and you would feel like if you go and tell the front desk receptionist that XYZ is over here, that they would roll their eyes. But
Exactly.
now everyone understands this is not acceptable. And
Yeah.
so, the hazards were there and
Mhm.
we put up with it. But now I think it's going to be where you as a member will be able to get more results. And also I think, we're going to have our own hand sanitizer, gloves that we radiate
Mhm.
in between machines,
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, one of the projects I'm working on right now is with a San Diego-based construction company that builds gyms all around the United States. And so I'm helping them retool and understand how to have certain key construction elements that will mean that if we have future issues where gyms aren't a place that they can be, that the gyms that are built by this company are able to survive.
Yeah.
Things like hand sanitizing stations and putting UV lights in the locker rooms for people to go in and sanitize themselves and come out. So helping them create a menu of services that's forward thinking,
Mhm.
that when gyms are being remodeled or when there's new builds, that we build for the future instead of for the past.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree. I mean, with the reason I left Gold's Venice, because I was so disgusted. Like, it's an incredible gym. I honestly mainly moved to Venice, California for that gym. Like, if that gym hadn't been there, I don't know if I would have moved to Venice. Um, and so you meet the most incredible people around the world. Arnold Schwarzenegger's walking around all day, all that kind of stuff. But just a gross gym. Like, it's got 3 sections in it, and each section has probably 100 people at a time, and then they have one spray bottle, and then that's it. Like, there's
And
not.
it's empty.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you're just like, and then no, it's like you're like not cool if you clean your equipment off. And I'm
Right.
a very much like spray it down, wipe it off, like kind of person. And so, yeah, I mean, hopefully they pivot. If they pivot, we'll be good as a country, because that's like the
They'll pivot.
that's like the rock bottom of cleanliness, to be honest. So, and not that the staff doesn't try hard. There's just so many people there. Like, they could easily add another bottle. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, so hopefully gyms like that step their game up. I think they will. I think they'll be forced to. And then I think people as individuals will do a better job of wiping down their equipment when they're done, and before they start too. But we'll see. I don't know.
Oh, well, you know what's going to happen too. I mean, it's the equipment manufacturers are amazing.
Yeah.
They're constantly looking at technology as their friend, and developing their equipment so that it's always forward thinking. And this pandemic has forced them to consider new materials that they wouldn't have considered before. And they won't be building bacterial and virus harboring pieces of equipment. You know, even how they source the grip pads. It's going to open up a whole industry again on gloves, where for a long time it wasn't cool to wear gloves. You know, you looked better if you had some calluses on your hand, kind of thing. Now everyone will be wearing gloves, you know, for a different reason. So I definitely think that from a customer service perspective, every level of the fitness industry is going to step up their game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it is unfortunate. There were some gyms that were already struggling, and I feel like they're, in a good way, they're going to have to add a lot more. But I think it might be really hard for them to implement all these new procedures and everything. And so, you know, hopefully they can get through it and come out the other side positive. But yeah, the survival of the fittest, no pun intended, I guess. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So
We'll hope for the best. You know, it's whole lives
mhm.
and investments made that'll be lost. And
Yeah,
as they're going through that, there'll be a real sense of despair. You know,
yeah,
that's going to be the tough part, is the despair. And I'm so sensitive to that. You know, people who have built their businesses and put so much on the line, and then they'll just realize it doesn't make sense from a business perspective anymore for them.
yeah, absolutely. Unfortunate. Yeah, exactly. I mean, at some point you have to pull the plug, and unfortunately, this is never a good day. So,
It's going to be tough.
so yeah, I'm ending on a positive note with this first episode. Let's do it. Let's do a positive, cheery thing. So it was, first of all, it was so awesome having you on board. Really excited to have this first episode come out like this. I mean, I think you're an incredible figure in the fitness industry across the board, killing all the projects, doing a great job. And yeah, do you have anything you want to leave our WeStrive Wednesday audience with?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, for me, it's always, when you proceed with fear, you're always in a negative place.
Mhm.
But when you proceed with hope, you're always in a positive place. So whether it be uh, in your development as a fitness professional, developing your fitness business, or continuing your journey a as an exercise participant, just always move yourself into the hope category and stay out of the fear. I mean, you have to identify the things that will make you weak, but it's also better to identify the things that are making you strong.
Boom. That's how we do it. Okay. Thank you so much for coming on. I can't wait to be a part of the next expo. And yeah, I mean, I'll be sure to post all your information, everything like that for the expos, how to get involved,
Yeah.
how to be a sponsor, partner, how to be a partner.
Partner.
And,
Yeah.
and you have an awesome day. Thanks for again, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for including me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.